Those newlywed murder allegations. The Tennessee man is in custody. Authorities saying he killed his new wife while they were on vacation in Fiji. Janae Norman joined us with the story. Good morning, Janae.
Michael, good morning. A luxury resort in Fiji. It's the kind of place that couples dream of vacationing, but for this newlywed couple, it has become the scene of a crime. A woman now dead, her new husband now behind bars.
On July 9th, 2022, a housekeeper at the Turtle Island Resort was asked to perform a welfare check on newlyweds Bradley Dawson and Christe Chen when they failed to appear for breakfast and later for lunch. A staff member walked to their private bungalow and noticed a "Do Not Disturb" sign on the door. Following the guest welfare procedures, a manager directed a housekeeper to investigate further. The housekeeper knocked on the door but got no reply. The continued silence, along with the skipped meals, led the staff to enter the room. What began as a routine check quickly escalated into an emergency as hotel staff discovered Christe Chen lying lifeless in the bathroom. She was found in a pool of blood, unconscious and squeezed in the narrow space between the toilet and the wall. Her body was covered in blood and fragments of broken glass. Furthermore, she appeared severely beaten, with one of her arms hanging inside the toilet's water tank. The Fiji police force, based in Lautoka, was contacted and arrived on the scene, officially pronouncing Christe deceased. A post-mortem examination was conducted to determine the extent of the injuries, which revealed multiple traumatic injuries, including blunt force trauma to the head, significant swelling around both eyes and the mouth, extensive bruising and lacerations on the right arm, and a large gaping wound on the back. The cause of death was identified as a homicide due to a traumatic brain injury caused by intracranial bleeding and severe head trauma. The extensive nature of injuries, along with deep cuts on both sides of the head, made it impossible to preserve the body in a coffin. Therefore, Christe's parents decided that they wanted her body to be cremated and took her ashes back home. After the Fiji police force was alerted in Lautoka, a team of 3 police officers located Bradley Dawson approximately 36 hours later on July 10th on Matakawalevu Island, about 1.5 miles across the water from Turtle Island. The very first suspect that the police had was Bradley, because he was the only person in the bungalow from 1 a.m. to 1 p.m., the time Christe was seen entering her bungalow, only to never leave out. At the time of his arrest, Bradley had his passport, over $1,000 in cash, credit cards, including one belonging to Christe, and both his and Christe's driver's licenses. He was found by a local resident who noted that Bradley appeared bruised, bleeding from the palms of his hands and feet, and smelled of alcohol. Bradley repeatedly mentioned having fought with his wife and requested to call the police. After his arrest, Bradley was transported back to Turtle Island and subsequently to Lautoka on Fiji's main island, Viti Levu, where he was charged with murder. Christe Chen was a dedicated and accomplished professional who transitioned from a career as a pastry chef in Colorado to the field of pharmacy. She pursued her pharmaceutical studies at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center, where she focused her research on health disparities affecting low-income communities. Her exceptional communication skills in clinical settings were recognized with the Wolters Kluwer Clinical Drug Information Award of Excellence in Clinical Communication, an achievement celebrated by the university's College of Pharmacy. After obtaining her pharmacist license in July 2021, Christe began working at a Kroger supermarket in Memphis, Tennessee. Colleagues and friends described her as a kind, generous, and outgoing person who was known for her enthusiasm and dedication to her profession.
She'd recently graduated and was looking to begin her career as a pharmacist in Memphis. Dawson not yet entering a plea, but ordered to remain behind bars.
Bradley Dawson, on the other hand, was born in Middletown, New York, and worked as an IT specialist employed by Youth Villages, a Memphis-based nonprofit organization focused on child welfare. Most of the colleagues and acquaintances described him as reserved and shy. Bradley's personal life included a previous marriage in September 2019, which took place in Yarrow, Fiji. This marriage lasted approximately 2 years, ending in divorce finalized in January 2022, with the reason being irreconcilable differences. Shortly thereafter, he met Christe Chen in November 2021 through social circles in Memphis. Their relationship progressed rapidly, leading to their marriage in February 2022. The wedding was a small ceremony with about 20 guests, and surprisingly, some of Christe's family met Bradley for the very first time at the event. Following their marriage, the couple moved into a new home in Memphis and planned a honeymoon at the exclusive Turtle Island resort in Fiji, a location known for its luxury accommodations and as the filming site of the movie, The Blue Lagoon. The resort hosts only 14 couples at a time, with villas costing approximately $3,500 per night. Christe's parents, who were regular visitors to the resort, funded the honeymoon. In the aftermath of Christe's tragic death during their honeymoon, Bradley's past relationships came to the limelight. Kristen Baker, an ex-girlfriend who dated Bradley during their undergraduate years at the University of Tennessee, described their relationship as intense and fast-paced. She discussed instances of Bradley's controlling behavior, including verbal manipulation and jealousy. Baker allegedly remarked that Bradley once pushed her onto a bed and had also chased her during an argument. She also noted that Bradley's demeanor changed significantly when he drank alcohol, and he became someone unrecognizable. She also mentioned that he would sometimes drink to the point of blacking out and later be unaware of his actions from the previous night. She described him as highly manipulative, with a strong desire for wealth, travel, and an extravagant lifestyle. Another acquaintance from Bradley's college years described him as a generally nice individual who struggled with managing his emotions, particularly when under the influence of alcohol. This person also emphasized that Bradley's behavior when he was intoxicated was totally different and had her concerned about his ability to handle stressful situations. These details about Bradley's past relationships and behavior patterns provided context during the investigation and subsequent trial, shedding light on potential factors that may have contributed to the events leading up to Christe's death. Bradley and Christe arrived at Fiji's Turtle Island Resort on July 7, 2022, for their honeymoon. The following evening, July 8th, they participated in the resort's family fun night, which featured traditional Fijian ceremonies, communal dining, and dancing. Witnesses observed that both were heavily consuming alcohol and appeared highly intoxicated. Initially, the couple seemed to enjoy themselves, however. Tensions arose when Christe discovered that Bradley had previously honeymooned at the same resort with his ex-wife. The situation became even more tense when Bradley reportedly danced inappropriately with another guest, leading to an argument between the newlyweds. The couple left the event and continued their dispute along the beach, returning to their bungalow around midnight. Shortly thereafter, neighboring guests reported hearing loud banging noises and a scream coming from the couple's suite. The next day on July 9th, resort staff became concerned when the couple missed breakfast and lunch. A housekeeper, following protocol, entered their bungalow and discovered Christe's lifeless body in the bathroom. She had suffered multiple blunt force injuries to her head, and the bathroom was covered in blood. By then, Bradley was not present at the resort and had fled the scene using a stolen kayak and was apprehended approximately 36 hours later on Matakawalavu Island. At the time of his arrest, he had everything: his passport, money, and credit cards, and it showed that he was trying to make an attempt to flee the country. According to Bradley's police interview, the couple had an argument about his ex-wife during dinner. After returning to their private villa, they went to bed, where Bradley claimed that when he tried to hug and cuddle Christe, she became upset and accused him of hurting her, expressing uncertainty about their relationship. He stated that the argument escalated near the bathroom, where Christe pushed him, leading him to lose his mind. He admitted that during the ensuing scuffle, both the toilet and a window were broken. Bradley said he left the room and left to go by the sea, where the guard spotted him, asking if he needed anything. He added that he told the guard he only came for a walk, and returned to find Christe unresponsive, so he fled the island using a kayak. Bradley's legal team fully denied the murder charge, asserting during closing statements that Christe's death resulted from her heavy intoxication. According to them, she lost balance, fell, and sustained strong injuries which resulted in her untimely demise. They also argued that even if a physical altercation had occurred between the couple, it did not contribute to her death. However, the court rejected this defense, and the judge emphasized that if Bradley's version were true, there would be no justification for him to leave his wife unattended in such a state, especially during their honeymoon. The severity and nature of Christe's injuries, as detailed in the post-mortem report, made them seem impossible for a simple fall. Injuries to her face, limbs, and back were consistent with blunt force trauma, according to the testimony of pathologist Dr. Avikali Mate. The court concluded that Bradley had punched Christe multiple times while she was in the bathroom at their villa. Rather than seeking help, Bradley left her injured and returned only later to find her unresponsive. In a state of panic, he fled again, this time taking a kayak and leaving the island with his passport, cash, and personal belongings, as if trying to flee. The judge said that this was clear evidence of guilt and showed he had no plan to return or report the incident. Furthermore, the court evaluated the reliability of the prosecution's witnesses, finding them credible and truthful, despite the defense's efforts to challenge their accounts based on minor inconsistencies. The judge cited legal precedent on how to treat contradictions and omissions in testimony, concluding they did not undermine the overall truthfulness of the witnesses. Ultimately, the court found that Bradley alone was responsible for Christe's death. The judge determined that Bradley's actions, whether intentional or reckless, still were those of a criminal. The injuries themselves were enough evidence to prove that he had a clear intent to cause harm, and even if the intent to kill was unclear, the risk of death was substantial under the circumstances. Though the defense of provocation was not formally raised, the court still considered it due to Bradley's statement about being pushed and him losing his mind. However, this too was dismissed as insufficient justification for the level of violence that led to Christe's death. The court found him guilty of murder and formally convicted him of the charge. Bradley Dawson was sentenced to life imprisonment by the High Court in Lautoka, Fiji, for the murder of his wife, Christe Chen. Justice Riaz Hamza mandated that Dawson serve a minimum of 18 years before being eligible for parole or a presidential pardon. Following Christe's death, her family delivered deeply emotional statements reflecting their grief, anger, and the lasting impact of the crime. Christe's mother, Xiaowei Liu, expressed that she hoped Bradley would be haunted by the memory of what he had done to her daughter during her final moments. She referred to him as a monster and made it clear that the horror of her daughter's death was something no parent should have to endure. Liu shared the agony of knowing that her daughter's life had ended violently at the hands of someone who had once vowed to love, honor, and cherish her. The mother's remarks emphasized not only her personal devastation, but also a broader sense of betrayal, as the violence had come from a man Christe had trusted and chosen to marry. Liu's grief was overcome by the brutal nature of Christe's death, and it made her feel that justice, while served in court, could never undo the pain inflicted on their family. Christe's father, Tao Chen, described her as the emotional center of their family, explaining that she had been his only child, his little girl, and his reason for living. He stated that every day since her death had felt like a struggle to find meaning in life. For them, the aftermath of the crime was made even more painful by the condition of Christe's body, which had sustained such severe injuries that it could not be embalmed for transportation back to the United States. As a result, her remains had to be cremated in Fiji, and they were not given a chance to give her their traditional funeral. Did Christe's kindness and ambition blind her to the danger that was quietly brewing beside her? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you are new to the channel and enjoy this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for upcoming episodes. Your support is greatly appreciated. Until next time, I will see you on Urban Crime Stories.